up, everybody? This is Shane from Ferocious Fatherhood here doing another 30 for 30 video. My guest today is Chris from Rising Father. Chris, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Shane. Happy to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to have you here. I mean, it's been, a whole week since we talked?
Yep.
I think it's been a week to a day. It was last Sunday when I was on yours talking.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Cool, man. So welcome to the show. Take a moment, kind of talk about, introduce yourself, introduce your organization, just take a couple minutes to talk about it.
Sure, man. Well, I'm Chris Rodack. I'm with Rising Father. It's a brand, a community I created about 1.5 years ago. And I started that because so many guys I knew, so many fathers became fathers, and then they kind of decided that their time to go after their own goals and be passionate about life, that time had passed them. So it was, it was relatives, it was friends, it was family members, it was people that became fathers, started raising their kids, and then let themselves lose touch with who they were on the inside. And I was seeing that so much, it was really disheartening to me. So I wanted to create a brand that connected dads to experts in various fields to help them excel at life, whether that be finance and business or fitness or mental health or family resources. So that's what we do at Rising Father. Is if you're a guy, or a father that needs to level up in some area, then I connect you with experts in those areas so that you can make the most of your time.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. That's really, so are you guys, is it just you working on it? You got other partners?
Yeah, I'm in terms of Rising Father, I'm the only guy there. What I do is connect. I work with many other people. They're not employed by me. They have their own things, but I refer people to them, or I say, someone says, hey, I really want to get in shape. Kyle Carnahan, Superhuman Fathers. I'll say, hey, go talk to Kyle. Or, hey, I want to learn about, how to start an online business because I'm just, my work is kicking my ass and I just have no time with my family. Then I'll send them to a program where they can learn how to build an online business. And, it's all about leveling yourself up and just understanding that, hey, you can make your life better if you just say, it's my time to do that. And me, I don't have to be the expert at every single thing. I don't have time to be the expert at everything. I'm not the expert at every single thing. And you don't have to be. You just have to know the experts. And then if
exactly.
An online business expert, talk to me, and I'll hook you up.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I tell people all the time, kind of same thing. I don't know everything, but I can point you in the right direction. Or I'll go out and I'll find out for you type of deal. So that's really awesome that you do all that connecting and all that networking.
Absolutely.
What's kind of like your general background? What was your childhood like? Was your father in your life? I know you currently have kids. Like how many? What ages?
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in a large family. I have 8 brothers and sisters, and so there's 11 of us in a 2-bedroom house.
Wow.
And yeah, things were pretty crazy. I shared a room with 4 brothers, and then I had 4 sisters who shared a room. And we were a big, happy Catholic family, and 1 bathroom in the house. So we were always, fighting over the bathroom. There were like 10 people in line, and it was nuts. But it really instilled in all of us kind of a really deep sense of family and of the importance of family and what it means to keep them close. And sure, there was a lot of, there were some rough times where whenever you're with that many people in a small space, you can start to fight with people, and you can start, even, right now with my own family, we each have our own bedrooms, and we got, bigger area. But, when you're with anyone for that much time, you can start to grate on each other. You can start to pick little things out. So, but yeah, so there was, great times. There was times where I was like, man, I just got to get out of the house. But you'll have that with any family, I think. And all of us pretty much live in the area now. We're all, besides my brother who's in Hawaii at the Army, we all kind of live pretty close, and we have birthday parties every month, and we all go on family vacations every other year. So we're pretty tight knit family.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where I came from. In terms of my current family, I have an 8-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter. They're both awesome, hilarious. They're like both me and my wife, best friends, and they're athletic, and we just love hanging out with them. We're very lucky because I know for some guys, that's not the case where they have that kind of relationship with their kids, but we want to take them everywhere with us, and they're just awesome to be around.
Man, that's so cool. And I see like all the time that you and your son are out there working out every single morning. I know you and I got talking about it last week.
Yeah.
You all made a spit oath to get out there and work out every single day. Talk about that for a minute, man.
Yeah. Well, my son really wants to be like a professional. He wants to be everything. He wants to be a professional basketball player. He wants to own a jiu-jitsu gym. He wants to be a comedian. But so we always out practicing with him because I said, that's great. You want to do all these things, but if we want to be good at it, we have to practice. So we were out after school one night practicing with this basketball court that has outside lights and everything. And we played for like an hour. We were practicing specific moves, whatever. And he just got this crazy burst of energy. He's like, Dad, I'm going to work out. I was like, okay. And he just got on the ground, just started doing push-ups and squats. And he also does CrossFit. He does a kids CrossFit with my wife. My wife goes to CrossFit every single morning at 5:30 a.m. And on 2 of the days of the week, they have a kids CrossFit. So both of my kids also do CrossFit. So he started going through his entire CrossFit routine. He was like on the pavement doing burpees and push-ups and squats. And he did it for like 30 minutes straight. And just, wow. I didn't ask him to do it. He just wanted to do it. He wanted to like show off and show me how strong he was. And I was just, after he got started, I just was pumped. I was pumped up and I was, encouraging him and cheering him on. And then he's like, we should work out every day for a year. This was his idea. He's like, we should work out every day for a year. And it was his idea because it was such a huge goal. Like work out every day for a week is a big enough goal for some guys. But he said, we should work out every day for a year. He's like, I'm going to get a 6-pack. I was like, okay, let's do it, man. I mean, if he's going to make that kind of promise with me, I was like, let's do it. And then he goes, we should make a spit oath. So I think you saw some movie where they did a spit oath. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, let's do it. Let's make it official. So we did a first spit oath I've done in like 25 years and shook hands. And I think it's day like 28. And we've worked out every single day before school. And then whenever he has CrossFit, that's his workout. And then I'll do jujitsu. But pretty much it's every single day before school, like 6 a.m. we work out in our garage.
That's awesome. So with y'all doing that, how has that brought you guys closer together? I mean, you have to get closer together, doing that for almost a month now.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's, it kind of tests you at different levels because, physically, obviously, but the bigger test is just getting up. And for him, it's staying consistent because you're motivated at the beginning. And then whenever you're on day 10, day 20, it's not as fun anymore. And say, hey, no, we still have 330 more days to go. So if we made this promise, like we're definitely not going to break a spit oath. And, so yeah, that's in that way, it's brought us closer because it's kind of like a man bond thing where it's like we're talking about promises between each other. And, I'm documenting it. I'm taking little pictures or videos every single day. So, I have 28 videos of us working out together. And then, when he's 25 years old, I'll have this collage of us working out together for 365 days. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Like I look back at my childhood, we just got like a big Rubbermaid bin of pictures and, I've got nothing, but he's going to have this awesome time capsule of when he was younger.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And the fact that it's digital, everything's going to be there forever. That's so cool. So with your family being larger, what were some of the major lessons that you learned from your father?
The biggest one was just work hard. He wasn't an online business expert. Like I really try to push myself in areas where I get a high ROI, like in online business and branding, and have a couple of different brands, all that kind of stuff. But, for him, he was all about whatever you do, you have to do it with integrity and you have to be working hard and you've got to see it through. So, I mean, there were many times when we were working in the backyard And every year we would put up this above ground pool, and we would have to dig into the yard, make it perfectly level, and pull out every single little pebble and rock in the backyard.
Mhm.
And there'd be times I did not want to do it, but we went like overboard on making sure every single pebble was out of that ground. And then, I'd want to stop, I'd want to quit, and he'd be like, "Nope, it's not perfect yet." But so I don't know if that was, believe me, it was a nice smooth ground. But we'd go over to his dad's house, and I remember we repaved his dad's driveway once, as like children, which to me now sounds crazy, but we did. And we were like, but it was in the middle of summer, hot as hell, and we were just out there hours doing this. I think his dad got a good deal out of it. And then, and I remember his dad came out and like gave us, I think it was like a quarter for repaving the driveway, but then he gave me 2 quarters because he said I was working harder than my brothers, and they hated me after that. They hated it so much because I was just like, lucky me, got 2 quarters. But I just remember on all these projects we'd be doing with my dad, it was just, you don't stop, you don't quit, you work until the job's done. And there was just never any laziness that was talked about. So I think working hard was like an inner thing that he kind of gave to all of us.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I can actually already kind of see how you've already kind of transferred that to your son. When you say like day 10 of y'all's year of working out, when it's the excitement's worn off, and your son's going to start to be like, yeah, I don't really want to do this anymore. Let's go back on it. And then kind of like what you've already said of, hey, no, we're not going back on it. Like, you may spit oath, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't, there's certain things where, if I was like, hey, let's go outside and shoot basketball, and like, oh, let's not, like, that's an okay thing to say no to, but not when you shake hands on changing your life together. I mean, he really wants to get a 6-pack. It's like, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Where in the mix do you fall with your brothers and sisters?
I am the third oldest.
Third oldest.
Yeah, because boy, girl, and then boy, girl, boy.
Okay. So with the first 2 being older than you, how much older than you were they? Or are they?
Everyone's 2 years apart, all the way down.
Okay. All right, cool. So did they sort of like give you any fatherly advice kind of growing up? Like your older brother would have been 4 years older than you.
Yeah.
So did he help give you any fatherly wisdom or anything?
Not spoken. I mean, but the way we were raised and what ended up happening was, my parents were able to leave the house, and then the older kids watched the younger kids. So even whenever they were toddlers and babies, like by the time the oldest brother was, 16, 18 years old, and if he was still living at home, then he's been basically raising kids and watching everyone for 18 straight years. So all of us had, growing up, we were able to be ourselves and be kids, but we also knew everything about babies and diapers and toddlers, and how to handle little kids. Because by the time I was 18, I had 5 younger siblings that I watched go from baby to toddler all the way up. So for me, he kind of took on a definite, both my older brothers, like a more responsible role sometimes. Like I remember there was a Christmas where one of my older brothers wanted to make like a extra Christmas for all the little kids. So he went out, bought a whole nother tree, put it at the top, bought presents for everyone. And I'll always remember that because that was like special for all of us. So then that like meant so much to me that he did that I tried to do similar things to my younger siblings throughout our time when we lived at the house.
Wow, that's really cool that you were already developing that fatherly instinct, before you even had kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved, it's, you like the way it makes you feel, and you like watching other people's expressions, and you like making other people feel good. And, we didn't have a lot of video games and computers and any of that stuff growing up, but we were able to, I remember taking my younger brothers and sisters out on bike rides and into the woods and on hikes and stuff, and all those kind of things really, meant a lot to me and hopefully a lot to them.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. Did you guys have any other sort of strong fatherly figures in your life? You said you were a strong Catholic church. Was there anybody within the church that helped maybe kind of raise you a little bit?
Not really. We went to church a lot. I went to a Catholic school too, so we had to go to church at school. Because
Hmm.
every Wednesday at 9 a.m. we had to, and all of our friends would go to church. And then like around Easter, you had to go to church like 10 times a week, and so we were at church a lot. But no, there was my dad. It was pretty much just my dad. There was never anyone else that really took on that role.
Hmm. Gotcha. So what are some of like the core values that you try to incorporate into your fathering style?
Um, that's a good question. So core values for me, one of them is it's not too complicated. It's just be nice. And that, like, for both of my kids, it really, like, if I see them not being nice to their mom, to each other, to friends, I come down hard on them.
Hmm.
Um, because first off, it just displays who you are as a person. And for me, it's a reflection of me. Like how my kids behave is a reflection of me. So if I see them not being nice, then that means that I've got a lot of working on myself to do.
Hmm.
So if they are not being nice to each other, then I make sure that I really analyze why that's happening and then give consequences according to that. So just be nice. That's to strangers in the park, um, to everyone that I mentioned. Um, Another one would be same thing that my dad taught us, which was just work hard. And I don't have them out paving the driveway, but if they've got if they've got their own little projects that are important to them, they have to work hard at those. Like
Hmm.
this morning, one of our little things we did together was my kids are outside playing. It's a beautiful day today. It was sunny and cool. And then we're gonna have a bonfire later tonight. So we gathered sticks and then we picked up all the pine cones in the grass. So it's good for the grass. And then we also have pine cones. So for them, you know, it's a big project. It's a big goal that we have to do. We got to pick all these pine cones up, but you get started and then all of a sudden you want to quit. It's like, no, guys, we said we're going to pick up all the pine cones. We're going to pick up all the pine cones and then we're going to pile them up and, we're not going to quit until we've done it. And then there was a couple times I had to encourage them to keep on going. But then when we were done, they were really happy that oh my God, we've got 3 giant buckets of pine cones. And it
Yeah.
was just a little thing for them, or for me, but for them, it was like, man, we accomplished this goal. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Then did you end up giving them, a quarter at the end of it?
They're going to get a s'more.
They're going to get a s'more. Nice. Yeah,
Yeah, that'll
that's
be
awesome.
that'll be their prize. If I had them paving the driveway, yeah, they could earn a quarter.
I'll say quarter nowadays, man. You won't be able to buy nothing,
No, no, no.
man.
Yeah,
That's too.
we had like a little candy shop by our bus stop growing up, was this store called Truan's, and it changed a lot throughout the years, but it was like an old school candy shop where you could buy candy for like a dime and a nickel.
Hmm.
And then there was also a deli behind the counter. And like every day after school, we would go there and just like with the change we found on the bus or in our book bag, we would just buy little pieces of candy. But yeah, with quarter, you can have a pocket full.
Oh
Not
yeah.
anymore.
No, no, not anymore. We used to do. I can remember me and my brother doing the same thing. We had a pool in our local house, our local community, and we'd go out there and we'd look for pennies, nickels, and dimes, and then go buy, a Swedish fish costs a cent. So
Yep.
we go buy 10 of them. Here's your dime, get 10 of them, and
Yep.
yeah, those were good times, man.
Hmm.
Do you get your kids kind of involved in developing y'all's core values?
Um, yeah, I think we do because that comes through talking. I think, I think it's really important if you want to have a good relationship with your kids, you have to know how to talk to them. And that's just a thing that I think our generation, not my parents specifically, but I know a lot of, for the many, many people I know that are my age, they just don't talk to their parents, um, for whatever reason. It just wasn't important. And
Hmm.
I put that on the parents. I say that, if you want, like 20 years from now, when my kids are all moved out, have their own families, if I want to have a relationship where I can talk with them, and discuss things, be friendly and have conversations, not be awkward like it is with so many people and their parents, then, I have to be intentional about developing these communication skills with them. So I talk with them all the time. We go on lots of walks. And then sometimes we'll be playing and we'll just stop and we'll just sit down and I'll ask them specific questions about their day. And so through those conversations, I talk about values and what's important to our family. And then I'll do it through stories about my childhood. I'll do it through questions they have, like my son asks me, I don't know, can I have a piece of candy or something? Or he says, hey, can I, I don't know what the specific example, but I'll kind of relate to a question that he asks me to a lesson that I have. And then I'll ask him about school. He'll tell me a story about a kid at school who is, acting funny and weird. And we'll say, well, okay, well, is there a backstory to that? Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's talk about, what could be happening with this kid. And, did you make friends today at school? Just being friendly and nice to people is one of our core values. So, what I did for the first 3 weeks of their school year this year is they had homework from me. And that was every day to come back with the name of a new kid. So, just being friendly is a life skill that can connect you to everyone that you need, so to be able to make friends is extremely important. So for our kids, for both Nathan and Lauren, every day when they came home from school, I made them give me the name of a new kid that they met at school that day. And if they, but whenever they're seniors in college and in business, when they're older and at their jobs, the ability to be nice to people, be friendly, make friends, network, it's going to be really, really valuable to them. So I started doing that with them when they were in kindergarten. So now they can go out to a park, total strangers, just walk up to new kids, say hi, start talking to them. And it's just natural to them now. So
yeah, that's awesome. We took my son to the park the other day. I guess it was Friday or something, and just seeing the ability that he had to just go up to this little girl who was 4 years old also. Hey, do you want to go play? I was like, man, that's really cool. It's really cool to see that we communicate with them that it's okay to talk to strangers, but here's kind of like the line, like they start saying things, A, B, and C, then you kind of need to start going away from them. You need to come find mom and dad right away. So it's really cool. And it sounds like you guys are doing the same thing. It's okay to kind of talk to strangers. Have you sat down and be like, hey, but look, here's the line type of deal?
Yeah. And it's not like you can talk to all strangers. It's, I'm not telling them to talk to adults. For me, it's kids, like it's specific controlled situations, like at a park where I'm there and I'm watching them. They're allowed to go up and meet new kids. I don't want them to go up and talk to strange adults. So,
right.
Yeah, we've and that's like they don't need that skill. For me, they need the skill of meeting new kids and peers their age. We do have them, if we're at a restaurant, I do make them, order themselves. And no, they don't tell me, then I order them. I say, no, you can tell them. And if they want more water, they have to flag the waitress down and ask for water. I do those things, but we're right next to them and teach those skills. But yeah, we've definitely had many talks about, stranger danger and all those things. That's a really important thing to talk about.
Yeah, I think that is definitely crucial. We do the exact same thing out at a restaurant. Like my son orders his food. We usually flag down if he needs something more. We usually flag him down because he never knows who our waiter is, or he's always kind of looking around like, is it that one? And he just starts waving to everybody, gets everybody over there.
Yeah.
So what are some of like the hardest problems that you faced as a father?
I think that let's see, that's a good question. Probably, and I've overcame various issues, and with each phase of fatherhood, there's new problems. But a couple of them were one of the biggest ones was overcoming the lack of time. When I started, when I had our kid, when I had Nathan, 8 years ago, I was working I was teaching, and I had multiple extra jobs I was doing that were all linked to time. So I only got paid if my physical body was in a place for a certain amount of hours.
Mhm.
And that's the worst type of income. It's just you get paid based on, just yourself
Mhm.
having to be somewhere. And because of that, I was gone a lot for a time. And it within that first, I don't know, 3, 4 to 6 months, it bothered me so much that I was like desperately searching for solutions to get myself out of that situation. So I was just researching and researching on who can help me get out of here, who can help me get out of this situation, because I'm not going to live my life like this. And I found someone who was extremely successful in online business, and he was a coach. So I contacted him. I said, "Hey, show me how to do this, because I'm not living my life like this anymore."
Mhm.
And he did. And within 4 months, I could quit every single extra job. I'm still teaching, but I do my teaching job and then nothing else. So
Mhm.
I can, I can get home before the kids get home. I have summers with them. And before I did not have that. Like even over the summers, I was just working constantly, and I'd work as a teacher. Then I'd get home 9, 10 at night and just never be home. And
Mhm.
I hated it. I'm not gonna, I don't, because then at that point, like, I don't care, I'll be homeless. Like I'm not gonna live like that.
Mhm.
Even if money's coming into the bank account, if I'm not living the way I want to, then I'm not really living.
Mhm.
So overcoming that was enormous for me. And it required an investment. I had to take a risk on a stranger I didn't know. Um, and, I had to pay him to teach me, because I'm not going to say, "Hey, show me how you did it for free."
Mhm.
Because if I'm not willing to invest in myself, I don't believe myself, then there's no point. So
Mhm.
yeah, took a risk on me, invested on myself, took a risk on a complete stranger, invested in him. And then, within the first 2 months, I doubled my investment. And then over the past 6 years, I've been constantly investing in education and how to these different online business skills and building brands and how to maximize, I call it freedom. It's not about money. It's about
Mhm.
being home with my family and having time to go to the gym, having time to go to jujitsu, having time to develop myself. That's what I want to do. I want to maximize my time freedom. So I'm just obsessed with that now. And now I'm lucky enough that I can help other guys do the same thing too. So I would say that's just one example, but that was one of the hurdles of fatherhood that I had to bust through.
Mhm. And you really brought your children into your businesses as well, right? Like I know you talked before in one of your videos that your son has said that he wants to take over Rising Father later on, right?
Yeah, he still does. I've had, I think, 2 podcasts with him. They're funny, hilarious. At one point, he like knocks a cord out, and the video cuts out, and so, but yeah, the same thing. It's a time capsule. It's a record of our
Mhm.
relationship I'll be able to have forever. And yeah, and it's just he gets it because I do it. If I was a coal miner, then my son would know all about coal mining.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
because I threw myself into online business stuff, Nathan and Laura know all about it. So I talk
Mhm.
about, I took a course last week on video editing. And I talked to Nathan. I talked to him about it. He says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I say, "Hey, I'm watching this course on video editing." Now I tell him about it. Now he knows how to video edit. If I was a garbage man, my son would ask me what I do at work, and he would be a great garbage man
Mhm.
apprentice. Um,
Mhm.
and our kids pick up on what they see us doing.
Mhm.
So because I decide to spend my time doing those things, they pick up on it.
Mhm.
And for both of them, Nathan and Lauren, I already talked to them about what they're going to do during high school, after high school, what are their jobs going to be, not in like an overworking, overbearing way, just as a fun way. It's
Mhm.
because I want them to look forward to it. And Nathan, he already says he wants to own a jujitsu gym. He said he wants to do a pizza truck and all those things, because I'm investing in how to learn how to do these things. I'll be able to help him do it. Same thing
Mhm.
with Lauren, whatever she wants to do. Like I feel like that's part of my job, is not to just, hey, get them to college and then I'm good.
Mhm.
It could be my job, but I want more than that. I want them to go to high school and whenever they're seniors, when it's time to graduate, say, hey, you can go to college if you want, or you can pursue your passion. And I'm going to show you 10 different ways that we can make it happen. And you could have this completely different life that I didn't have, but now I can show you how to do it. So I now that's like also driving me is I want to learn so much that I can give it to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. You touched on a point that I definitely want to kind of expand a little bit, is how important is it for your kids to watch you doing stuff? I mean, you have your kids watching you work out, you have your kids watching you with this. I'm a firm believer that your kids, they don't want to be told what to do. They want to be shown what to do. So like, there's a lot of times I'll take my kid I'll take my son up to the gym with me and get him right there working out with me. How important is that? Is that really important in your fathering style, to have them watch you doing stuff instead of just telling them?
Yeah. And that's why you have to be home. That's why you have to, be there present with them, because either you're raising them or YouTube's raising them. If I let them, they would watch YouTube all day, and then they would just take on the characteristics of whatever they're watching. And there's even, there's some channels that I'm okay with them watching occasionally. Like, even like Mr. Beast is fine. He'll probably be president someday. He's just a great, I think he's just a great guy from everything I've seen. And then like Dude Perfect, I'm fine with them watching Dude Perfect, this is like in occasional situations, but whenever they watch those channels, they start to even just talk the lingo, like if they're say certain slang terms, they start to just say the things that they watch. And we don't let them watch a lot. Like some people, their kids are just glued to their iPads 24/7. Like we are very sparingly let them watch YouTube or go on their iPads ever. And just with that little bit of exposure to those things, they take on the characteristics of whoever they are watching. So if I am living with my kids 24/7 and, discounting school and whenever they're gone, like for how much they see me, if I am not living the way that I want them to live, then I have no control over how they turn out. It's up to anyone but me. So I have to be living in a way that I'm fine, where if, I looked at my son and saw him doing something, I would have to say, hey, I'm okay with him doing that because that's what I do. So yeah, living in the way that you want your kids to live is extremely important, because if me and my son work out every single morning. Most days my daughter is doing it now too. But if I said, guys, you got to work out. You just have to start working out more. You watch too much TV. You're on your iPads too much. And then I sat down and started drinking some Dr. Pepper and just stared at my phone for 2 hours. Then nothing I said would matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. It only matters what they watch us do. And if we are intentional about what we do with them and we actually do it, that's the only way we can actually teach them anything. It doesn't matter what we're saying to them. It does a little bit. But if I want to teach them a big lesson, it has to be something I do.
Yeah, we're in our household, we're like a firm believer that if we're going to teach something, they have to watch us do it. They have to watch us like getting out there and being active, or watch us learning a new skill. Like one of the things I'll bring my son on, and he's probably too young to do a podcast, but at the end of doing everything, I bring him in, we shoot a real quick video, and then him and I will, kind of tear everything down, and he sees, hey, I take my equipment back down, I put it all nice and neat together. And I really think that those little lessons I can impart, hey, look, we keep things clean, we keep things organized, we take care of our stuff. And I agree, he would not learn that if I just told him like, hey, go clean your room. Yeah, he's not gonna learn that lesson. But if he comes out and he sees me breaking everything down, taking care of things, I'm not just casually throwing everything has a spot and that's where it sits. It really sticks with him a lot better than just me just telling him what to do.
Yeah, for sure. They'll do everything. They'll do everything we do, including, the things that we don't want them to do. I remember the first time I heard my son say something that I didn't want him to say, or that I didn't like him saying. It was something that I said. And, it kind of smacks you in the face like, oh, that's right. He's listening all the time and remembering everything, most of the things that I say. And I heard him say something like inappropriate. And then I think I said it like the next hour. I was like, oh, that's where he got it, because they're just listening and doing everything that we do.
Yeah, they listen to everything. I mean, I'm sure every single dad's got a story like that of, oh, I shouldn't have said that kind of moment. I mean, I can count plenty. I remember one time we were driving in a parking garage. We rounded the corner and something came out. There's a car right there. Something came out of my mouth that shouldn't have. He looked right in the rearview mirror and just said, "Oh, daddy," and repeated the exact same thing. And I was like, that has to change. That has to change right now, because they pick up everything and they're just freaking sponges.
Yeah, it happens to us all.
So you kind of touched on it earlier, but with you being able to free yourself up from your other jobs, you're now able to be more active in your kid's life. But what were some ways that when you were teaching full time, that you stayed actively engaged with your children?
Yeah, you have to plan it out, and you have to take opportunities when they come. Because sometimes you make a schedule and something changes, but then sometimes time opens up that you weren't anticipating. And I think it all just stems from the priorities you have. Like if you have a hierarchy of what's important in your life and your kids are up there, then certain things will just take precedent. So, I mean, one thing that I did no matter what was read my kids a story every single night. And that I was not afraid to tell the people I was working with that I can't go to this thing. Like, I'm just not going. And then, so I don't know if that made me a bad employee or what, but my family was light years ahead of anything at work I was doing. So I would just say no. And then it wasn't that long that I was in this situation because I fixed it so quick. But I mean, if I was, if I'm not home, then I can't be active in her life. So, I would, if for that period of time when I wasn't home, how was I active in her life? Well, then at night I would tuck them in, read them a story. Whenever I was home, I would do nothing but spend time with them. Like, I would, if I had 2 hours, I wasn't on my phone, I wasn't on TV, I was just laying in them with the grass, or I would take them to the park. So when I wasn't home, I couldn't be active with them. But whenever I had any free time, they were just the only thing that I focused on.
When you started making that switch into like your online business and away from all your other small little jobs, did it get increasingly harder to find that time to spend with your kids?
I mean, yeah, there's a transition period. There's a building process, and for some guys that process never ends. And you just keep going in circles. And I think, I think I talked about this like yesterday on my Instagram. I said, you need to find guidance fast, or your kid is going to leave for college, say, oh, I finally made it. It's like, well, you made it for what? You've been busting your butt trying to be successful, trying to find freedom, but because you are so unwilling to take a risk on yourself, on someone else, so unwilling to invest in a guide or mentor, you've now restarted every single year for 18 years, and now it's too late. Now if your goal is more freedom for yourself and your family, you've missed that. Now it's just freedom for you to do your little fun hobbies by yourself after your kids are gone. But yeah, that transition time wasn't long for me because I've spent a few months researching, and I paid someone who was really good at what they did to show me exactly what they did. But yeah, during that transition time, I mean, I'd go to work, and then, I created an ad agency. So I had to learn how to do an advertising agency as a teacher. So I'd be on my lunch breaks, prep periods, after school, taking sales calls and taking trainings. But, I still found time the thing that I let go of was my health during that time. Because it was finding time freedom was up there, and spending time with my kids when they were really young was up there as well. So those are my two top priorities. So I just stopped working out, which was also dumb.
Mhm.
But I did, because I was like, I can't go to the gym for an hour a day. Like for me, I'm going to be with my kids an hour a day. So I let go of my health during that time because I didn't have the time to do it, or I could have just worked harder and found the time. So that's also not an excuse, but yeah, I mean, whenever you're building, you're going to have to miss some time. And that
Mhm.
just, the thing is, how much time are you going to miss? For me, it wasn't a lot, because I invested a lot of money in someone showing me what to do. Like
Mhm.
when I did that and I paid my person to show me, I mean, we had a lot of credit card debt. Like my wife was laid off at her job, and we were not in a good financial situation. And I was like, I don't care. I can see the end of my story if we
Mhm.
keep on doing what we're doing. And unless I do something drastically different right now, I know what it's going to be like. Like I know what my
Mhm.
last chapter is going to be if I don't do anything drastically different right now. So I put it all on a credit card, and like I said, made it back in 2 months, doubled it, and then I just kept on growing from then.
Man, that's so impressive, and that's so awesome. I actually think that's going to be kind of where we wrap this up. Is, man, that's such an awesome point. But one thing I do like to ask everybody that I have on before we go is, what's one last piece of fatherly advice that you could give to other fathers, like maybe like your top piece of advice or something that we didn't get to talk about? But what's like your last piece of advice that you want to hit people with?
Something I've been thinking about a lot recently is dads don't understand how much they mean to their kids. And even if you can't comprehend it right now, just know that every minute you spend with your kid is worth 10 times more to them than it is to you.
Mhm.
So be present as much as you can, put the phone down, take every minute you give to them, they're going to value, treasure, and remember. So even if you're stressed out because of work or of anything, just give them the time that they need, and it'll be worth it to them.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's awesome. Chris, man, I want to say thanks for coming on. I love talking to you. I had a blast last week, had a blast this week. Take a minute, kind of tell everyone how to get a hold of you, man.
Sure. Well, I'm on most social media platforms. Instagram, it's Rising Father. TikTok, it's Rising Father. YouTube, Rising Father. Facebook, Rising Father. We've got a big private group on Facebook if people want to join that. We just post content, talk shop about dad stuff and how to find more time freedom. So, and that kind of stuff. You can find me on all those. We got a podcast, a Rising Father podcast, that's on everywhere you can get podcasts. And I talk about all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I want to say thanks for being on. Thanks for doing what you do for the fatherhood community. And just thank you for being there for your kids, man. I really want to say thank you.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I'll talk to you later, man. Okay.
See you, buddy.
All right, see ya.